All right, buckle up everyone, because today we are diving headfirst into a world that's all about lucky numbers, second chances, and maybe even a touch of magic. That's right, we're talking about lottery cashiers.
And let me tell you, there's way more to this job than meets the eye. We're about to scratch beneath the surface and uncover a whole hidden layer of responsibility, security, and yes, even a little bit of human drama.
You send us a mountain of interesting stuff on this, career guides, interview tips, the works. And I'll admit, I always thought of it as a pretty straightforward gig, but now I'm seeing it's anything but.
It's easy to underestimate the complexity of roles like this, right? But
Yeah.
when you really think about it, these are the folks dealing with the highs and lows of people's dreams, the thrill of the win, and sometimes even the heartbreak of a loss.
Yeah, and speaking of highs and lows, the RoleCatcher guide really emphasized the security aspect of this job, which I thought was fascinating. I mean, yeah, handling cash and paying out prizes, that makes sense, but they went deep on regulations and preventing things like money laundering.
And for good reason. Remember, this is a cash-heavy industry, and those systems are in place to protect everyone involved. A cashier needs to be a stickler for the rules, a guardian against any funny business.
It's like they're running their own mini Fort Knox right there behind the counter.
Exactly. And those skills, they're more important than ever with all the technology involved these days. We're not talking about your grandma's cash register anymore. These systems require a certain level of tech savviness.
So you're telling me lottery cashiers need to be tech wizards on top of everything else?
Wizard might be pushing it, but a good grasp of computers and electronics is definitely in the job description. Think about it. Electronic ticket machines, processing systems, troubleshooting glitches, it's all part of the game.
Okay, that makes sense. I was picturing those old school crank ticket dispensers, not these high-tech setups.
And it's not just about the hardware either. They need to understand how those systems are designed, how they prevent fraud, track every single transaction, and ensure everything runs smoothly.
It's like being a security guard and a tech support specialist all rolled into one. Speaking of security, one thing RoleCatcher really emphasized was money laundering, which honestly I never really associated with lottery tickets before.
It's not something that immediately springs to mind, right? But it's a very real concern in any industry that deals with large amounts of cash.
So how does that even work with lottery tickets? Are we talking about people trying to cash in stacks of dirty money?
It can be a lot more subtle than that. One tactic criminals might use is called smurfing, where they'll send multiple people to buy tickets with smaller amounts of illicit cash just below the reporting threshold to try and clean the money.
Wow, that's pretty sneaky. So the cashiers need to be trained to spot those kinds of red flags.
Absolutely. They're often the first line of defense against these schemes. They're taught to look for suspicious activity, like someone buying a huge volume of tickets with consecutively numbered bills, for example.
I had no idea there was so much detective work involved. It sounds like we need to give lottery cashiers a lot more credit.
They really are the unsung heroes of the lottery world, aren't they? They're handling way more than just lucky numbers. They're entrusted with a lot of financial responsibility and play a crucial role in upholding the integrity of the whole system.
Absolutely. It's not just about handing out tickets and wishing people luck. It's about being a vigilant guardian of the whole operation.
Exactly. And that sense of responsibility extends to their interactions with customers too, both those celebrating a win and those who might be feeling a little let down.
Yeah, because dealing with the emotional roller coaster of winning and losing,
Yeah.
that's got to add a whole other layer to this job.
You said it. And that's why having strong customer service skills is so essential for a lottery cashier.
Yeah.
They need to be able to manage those expectations, diffuse potentially difficult situations, and always keep their cool.
It's like being a therapist, a security guard, and a customer service rep all rolled into one.
You got it. And they have to do it all with a smile.
Speaking of smiles, when we come back, let's dive into those interview tips from RoleCatcher. I'm really curious to see how they prepare people for this surprisingly multifaceted role.
It's amazing how a lottery cashier gets to see those moments of pure joy when someone hits it big, but then also needs to be ready for those more, well, let's say delicate interactions when someone's feeling the sting of a loss.
It's like they're witnessing the whole spectrum of human emotion right there at the lottery counter.
Yeah.
No 2 days are the same, that's for sure.
You got it. And it takes a special kind of person to navigate those ups and downs, to celebrate those wins with genuine excitement, but also know how to handle those who might be feeling a bit down on their luck.
Talk about a balancing act, right? And speaking of delicate situations, RoleCatcher had some really interesting advice on handling those tricky interview questions. It seemed like they really wanted to see how well someone could think on their feet and handle the pressure.
Makes sense, right? In a job like this, you never know what kind of curveball a customer might throw at you. So being able to stay calm under pressure and think clearly is essential.
One question that really stood out to me was, how would you handle a situation where a customer thinks their ticket is a winner, but the system says otherwise? Talk about a potential conflict.
Oh, I can only imagine. That's exactly the kind of scenario they're trying to prepare people for. Can you stay cool, empathize with the customer's frustration, but still stick to those all-important rules and procedures?
It's about finding that sweet spot between empathy and firmness, which I imagine can be tricky, especially when emotions are running high.
Absolutely. You can't just give in to every demand, but you also can't come across as uncaring or robotic. Finding that balance is crucial.
No doubt about it. This job definitely requires a higher level of emotional intelligence than I initially thought.
It's true, and that emotional intelligence goes hand in hand with those technical skills we were talking about earlier. It's like this perfect blend of hard and soft skills that really makes for a successful lottery cashier.
It's amazing how our perception of certain jobs can evolve the more we learn, isn't it? I started this deep dive thinking, okay, lottery cashier, pretty simple. But now I'm seeing it as this incredibly nuanced role that requires so much more than meets the eye.
It just goes to show you should never judge a book by its cover, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of stories, one thing that really struck me in the research was the focus on the human side of this job, the personal stories of both the cashiers and the customers.
Oh, yes. RoleCatcher shared some fantastic anecdotes from real-life cashiers, and it really brought the whole experience to life. Remember that story about the cashier who helped a regular customer win a big prize after years of playing? It almost brought a tear to my eye.
It's those kinds of moments that remind us that even in a job that might seem transactional, those human connections can run surprisingly deep.
It's true. It's not always just about the money, is it? Sometimes it's about those shared moments, those little victories that make life a little brighter.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about those stories from the other side of the counter, the customers. Think about the emotions they bring to those interactions, the anticipation, the hope, and yes, sometimes even the disappointment.
It really is like a microcosm of the human experience, all playing out with each transaction. So how does a cashier handle all of that? It must be like being a therapist sometimes.
It's about being present for all of it, really listening, offering a kind word, or maybe just a shared smile. Those small gestures can make a world of difference.
Speaking of tools, RoleCatcher mentioned something that caught my eye. Their AI-powered interview practice tool. Have you heard of this? You can actually practice your interview answers and get feedback from AI.
Wow, that's amazing. It's incredible how technology is changing everything about the job search process these days.
It's like having a personal interview coach available 24/7. You can practice those tough questions, get instant feedback, and really build your confidence before you ever set foot in an interview room.
And anything that helps calm those pre-interview nerves is a good thing in my book. But what I find most impressive is how this tool helps you tailor your answers to the specific job and industry.
Exactly. They had a whole section just for common lottery cashier questions, which I thought was really smart.
It's so smart because while general interview tips are great, there's nothing quite like practicing for the specific challenges you'll face in a particular role.
Totally. For example, one question they suggested practicing was, how would you handle a situation where a customer is being rude or disrespectful? We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
But in this context, it's about showing you can diffuse the situation while maintaining your professionalism.
Exactly. And the AI can even analyze your tone, your body language, the specific words you use to make sure you're really hitting the right notes.
It's like having a virtual mirror to see how you come across, which can be incredibly valuable.
For sure, that kind of self-awareness is gold. But we've talked a lot about the people skills, but RoleCatcher also highlighted some technical skills that are important for this role, which I think often gets overlooked.
Okay, so we touched on their role in preventing money laundering, but what other technical skills come into play?
Well, think about all the technology involved. They've got to be comfortable operating those electronic ticket machines, troubleshooting any minor technical issues, and navigating the point of sale system, things like that.
Right, I never even considered the troubleshooting aspect. What happens if the machine jams or the system crashes?
Yeah.
Talk about a high-pressure situation.
Exactly. That's where those problem-solving skills become essential. They need to be able to identify the issue, maybe try to fix it themselves, or know when to call for help.
So it's like being a tech support guru and a customer service rock star, all in one.
Pretty much. And let's not forget about data security, too. They're dealing with sensitive customer information, so understanding basic data privacy is crucial.
It really is a multifaceted role when you break it down. It's like they're juggling a dozen different responsibilities at once.
And they do it all with a smile, hopefully. But speaking of moving up in the world, we haven't even talked about the potential career paths for lottery cashiers. Some people might see it as a dead-end job, but it can actually be a great stepping stone.
Oh, that's interesting. What kind of career paths are we talking about? Is it all within the lottery industry, or can you branch out?
Well, of course, there's always room to climb the ladder within the organization. You could become a supervisor, a trainer, maybe even work your way into management someday.
So there's definitely upward mobility within the company itself. But what about other fields? How do the skills transfer?
Well, think about what we've discussed. Customer service, attention to detail, financial responsibility, knowledge of regulations. Those are all highly valuable skills in a ton of industries.
You're right. I can see those skills being useful in retail management, banking, even something like compliance or auditing.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the value of their experience working with technology and handling sensitive information. That's a huge plus in today's job market.
This is really eye-opening. I had no idea a job as a lottery cashier could lead to so many opportunities. It's like a launching pad for all kinds of career paths.
It just goes to show you, you should never underestimate the value of any job experience. You never know what skills you might learn or what doors might open down the road.
So true. This deep dive has been full of surprises, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you know what we haven't even touched on yet? The emotional roller coaster that comes with handling those winning tickets.
Oh, now that's a topic we could spend hours on. I mean, can you imagine the rush of handing someone a ticket worth millions?
I can only imagine. I'm curious to hear more about the psychology of winning and how cashiers handle those incredibly charged moments.
Me too. And you know what else I find fascinating? The lengths they go to prevent fraud and ensure the integrity of the whole system. It's way more sophisticated than I ever imagined.
Well, listeners, it seems like we have even more to uncover as we delve deeper into the fascinating world of lottery cashiers. So we're back. And, we've talked about the responsibilities, the security, the career paths, but there's one part of a lottery cashier's job that everyone's secretly curious about. Those life-changing jackpot-winning tickets.
Oh, absolutely. There's a certain energy, a buzz in the air when someone hands over a ticket and you realize those numbers match.
I bet. What's it like from the cashier's perspective, being the one to deliver news that could change someone's whole world?
It's an incredible feeling. You're witnessing pure joy, disbelief, sometimes even shock, all at once. I read this interview with a cashier who sold a jackpot-winning ticket, and she said it felt like time just stopped as it sunk in for both of them. Tears, hugs, even a little victory dance right there in the store.
That's amazing. It must be so rewarding to play a part, even a small one, in someone's lucky break.
It really is. And it doesn't have to be those mega millions wins either. Even those smaller wins, the ones that just make someone's day, they can be just as meaningful.
It's like you're spreading a little bit of joy with every winning ticket, no matter the amount. But I'm sure there's a flip side to that. What about those times when someone doesn't win? How do you navigate those potentially awkward, maybe even disappointing moments?
It's all about empathy, right? Reading the room, gauging how someone's feeling. Sometimes a simple better luck next time with a sincere smile is all it takes. Other times, someone might need a listening ear, a little reassurance.
It takes a certain level of emotional intelligence to know which approach to use, I imagine.
You're absolutely right, and it's a skill that develops over time. One thing that always fascinates me is the psychology of lottery players. There's a whole world of research on the hopes, the dreams, even the superstitions people attach to those little slips of paper.
Oh, totally. I have my own little rituals when it comes to picking numbers. So what have researchers learned about what makes people pick when it comes to the lottery?
Well, one big takeaway is that for many people, it's not even really about the money. It's about the dream, the chance of a better life. The lottery represents hope, a possibility of breaking free from financial worries and finally pursuing those lifelong passions.
That's a powerful motivator for sure. And I imagine for some, even a small win can feel like a sign, like maybe their luck is changing.
Exactly. It's about clinging to that glimmer of possibility. And for the cashier, it's about respecting those dreams, even if you've heard them 1,000 times before.
Because at the end of the day, you're not just selling tickets. You're selling a piece of that dream, that chance to think big.
Beautifully put. That's what makes this job so much more than just punching numbers. It's human connection, those shared experiences, those moments of joy, disappointment, and everything in between.
I have to say, my whole perspective on lottery cashiers has changed after this deep dive. I came in with a lot of assumptions, but I'm leaving with a real appreciation for how complex and human this job truly is. It's so much more than meets the eye.
It reminds us that every job, even those we might not think twice about, has hidden depths, fascinating stories waiting to be discovered.
And to our listener out there who sent in this incredible topic idea, we hope you're feeling as enlightened as we are. The next time you're buying a lottery ticket, take a moment to appreciate the person behind the counter, because they're handling more than just lucky numbers. They're handling dreams, hope, and those little slices of life that make us human. And hey, you never know. You might just walk away a winner. This has been The Deep Dive. Until next time.